What's going on, guys? I have been lacking on uploads, so sorry about that. And I I had a few goals for this month, especially when it came to what this month is about, which it shouldn't be confined to a month, but it's a Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, if you are unaware, and that's granted you're watching this in June. Um, and I did want to make a few videos on this, and I'm a little late to the party, but regardless of what month it is, I think men's mental health or just mental health in general is really good to be, you know, to understand and to be aware of. And there is a topic that I did really, really want to discuss was, the saying boys don't cry or men don't cry. Um, Obviously, boys and men and everybody cries, but there's this stigma against men crying. And granted, I think it's gotten a lot better. I did grow up in a household, and this is no shade to my mom at all. I think she was just trying to get me to be tough because I was a sensitive kid. But you know, I would be told, "Why are you crying all the time?" Like, "Why are you crying?" or "Don't cry. You shouldn't be crying," and stuff like that. But as a kid, I was very sensitive, and I grew up without a father to like kind of bestow or not bestow, but give me those ideologies themselves. So I've heard it a lot from women and not just my mom. So that's 100% not a her problem or anything like that. Thank you, mom. I love you, mom. I think you raised me correctly. I believe you did your best, and I think I'm doing pretty well considering so. And the fact that I'm able to talk about this speaks volumes. But I do feel like there is still this stigma, especially in the gym culture, like that men shouldn't cry. And to me, that's so ridiculous because, on one, that's that's a great way to display several emotions. You don't cry just when you're sad. You cry when you feel an intense amount or a high amount of a certain emotion. So the most common one is sadness or weakness, right? And I think that's where it kind of stems from, that men shouldn't cry. But I also think it's important to cry for other things, like when you're happy, when you're just overwhelmed with joy. I think that is like one of the most beautiful things to feel, is the ability to let yourself cry. I think it's saved me a lot of arguments, a lot of just built up emotion, which can lead to, complications with other people, yourself, and etc. I believe learning to cry, and not just because you're sad, is one of your greatest tools. Now, granted, I'm not saying, just go start crying in the middle of a crowded room or some shit like that, right? You know, still have dignity and, and things of that nature, and I believe sometimes crying should be very private because it's your own personal experience. And you shouldn't have to feel like you need to explain to others why you are crying. But some examples that I on a daily basis get emotional about, and it's very simple, is like music. Like just listening to music sometimes, or hearing, I listen to a lot of audiobooks, so just hearing like a beautiful line in a book, you should be able to be comfortable enough with that feeling, like, wow, that made me feel so intensely about what they just said. Or, oh my goodness, the rhythm to this song, or like the all the instruments, like, I'm definitely not an artist, right? But the picture I'm trying to paint is like all these instruments coming together, and without even words happening yet, just like the beat to the song is just so beautiful. It makes you overwhelmed with a sense of joy. um, and it just brings tears to your eyes. And I think that is so important to understand, that yes, you should 100% cry when you need to cry, especially when you're sad. I do think it helps a lot, rather than just bottling it up or turning it into anger, which is just destructive. There is times to be angry, though, don't get me wrong, but I do think it is very important to if it's very important to understand that if you don't have to turn something into anger, that it is best to not turn it into anger. And so learning to cry is a good way to alleviate something turning into anger. So there's been many times where I just get so frustrated and so angry. And I've been told my whole life, like, don't cry. Like, why are you crying? Don't cry. But it just, when you're just by yourself and you just get angry, just why are you angry? Why do you feel the things that you feel? And just let it out differently. Just cry. I think it's 100% okay to let out your emotions in that way. I think it's the most beautiful way to convey your emotion is to be able to cry about something. You know, there is going to come a time and a day where, regardless how you feel, you're just going to cry. And that's okay. And you should think it's okay too. You know, you don't have to wipe your tears. Sometimes you just have to let them go and you have to let them come out. And in those moments, understanding is the most important thing you can do. Not stopping what you're doing, just understanding what you're doing. If you're crying because you're upset, be in that emotion, be in those exact feelings. Cry even harder if you have to. Understand why you're crying, why you're feeling those ways, and why it's completely valid. And life just changes sometimes. Like just as simple as just having a bad day, going in your room, just cry a little bit. Just let it out. You don't have to be angry at anybody. Oh, that guy cut you off in traffic. Who cares? Oh, that guy cut you off in traffic. You got a parking ticket. Oh, the bank just withdrew $50 and you only had $40. Now you're $10 in the negative and you're hungry. You have no food or anything like that. Fucking cry about it. Actually, not me like being a dick. Fucking cry about it. Understand what you're feeling. Understand the emotions that God has given to you. And understand that He has given you those emotions for a reason. And that is to have the full human experience. Now, I do encourage people to cry, and this is an exercise I did when I was battling with my emotions a lot, and I was confused a lot, and I didn't know how to convey emotion very well, and I spent a lot of time alone, and I was angry all the time. But I learned, and it was a goal of mine every single day, and I did this probably for a year straight. Cry once a day. Find something that makes you feel something so powerful that it brings tears to your eyes. My God, does that feel amazing to be able to cry? I've gone, there was a point in my life where I was unable to physically cry, be so down, so sad, so depressed, have felt like life had no meaning to it and wanted to cry and I couldn't. I couldn't. And that felt equally as painful as suffocating. And I've suffocated before, quite literally. Um, it's awful. So, so learn to cry. If you battle with your emotions on a day-to-day basis and you don't know how to convey the feelings that you're feeling, how are you supposed to be able to convey them if you don't understand them? Sit with yourself for a minute. Learn to cry. Learn that it's okay to cry. Learn that it's more than okay to cry. And just get better every day. But that's going to wrap up my conversation. Boys and men 100% cry. And if you've been told that they don't, maybe ask that person or people that are telling you that, why not? Why not? Why can't I? Why can't I have a full human experience? Ask them. I'm pretty sure they won't have an answer. But that's all I'm going to say about that. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. If you struggle with mental health, you don't have to comment that. Talk to somebody. Shoot me a message, a private message. Comment it if you really are open to it. Talk to somebody. And be okay with sitting with your emotions. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Please be safe.